release of our sexual fluid is considered normal, and indeed often abused. The articulate scientific teachings of Dr. Raymond W. Bernard, as presented in his seminal work, The Creation of Supermen, stand as a stark, illuminating beacon. This profound text promises to open your eyes to a truth so fundamental, so often overlooked, that you will never again contemplate the reckless waste of your vital essence. It is a clarion call, a summons to awaken and truly comprehend the intricate, magnificent machinery of our reproductive organs, and, crucially, to grasp the immeasurable, priceless value of the secretions they produce. Let there be no doubt, no medicine, no panacea of supplements, no rigorous exercise regimen, nor any profound meditation practice can ever replace the intrinsic, life-giving worth of our sexual secretions. We pledge to you that by the culmination of this narrative, your perspective will be irrevocably altered, compelling you to think not just twice, but with profound reconsideration before carelessly squandering this divine, God-given source of power that resides within you. When a man, consciously or unconsciously, loses his seed, whether through casual ejaculation, masturbation, or excessive sexual indulgence, he is, in essence, casting away his very creative substance. In doing so, he is not merely experiencing a temporary physiological release, but actively hastening his own demise, accelerating a subtle yet relentless march toward entropy. He might remain blissfully unaware of the profound underlying reasons behind his persistent, almost primal awareness of life's inherent unpredictability, or the persistent, gnawing dread of death that lingers at the periphery of his consciousness. Yet this existential unease, this subtle terror, exists within the average, ordinary individual, provided they possess the rare courage and honesty to truly acknowledge its presence. This insidious state of consciousness is not an arbitrary psychological quirk. It is a direct physiological consequence caused by the systemic loss of life force, that vital, animating energy which by nature's design should be retained within the body, for optimal health, for sustained vitality that radiates from within, and for the strengthening and fortification of the mind itself, transforming it into a sharper, more resilient instrument. The punishment for this squandering of life fluid is not some act of supernatural vengeance, not a celestial judgment hurled from above. Rather, it is the stark, undeniable physiological consequence of the systematic loss of the very power which animates the body. That subtle spark that distinguishes life from inert matter. This decline doesn't manifest suddenly, like a bolt from the blue, but gradually, insidiously, a slow erosion of being. This gradual dying that we politely refer to as old age is, in truth, the natural and inevitable result of persistent sexual indulgence and the unchecked dissipation of vital energies. Old age, then, is revealed not as an inescapable cosmic decree, but as the predictable product of weakened sex glands, compromised and depleted as a direct result of previous abuse and overextension. This stark reality is eloquently and scientifically proved by the statements of Dr. Voronov, keen observer of human physiology. Decrepit old men are in reality eunuchs. They have been emasculated. I have never known a eunuch to exceed the age of 60. Well before death, they have the appearance of old men. Dry skin, a bloated body, dull eyes. They have a stooping gait which gives the impression of great age. Their death seems to be the normal end of old age, but verification shows they died between 50 and 60 years. Deprived of the essential factor of youth and vigor, they have prematurely aged and died well before the term ordinarily attained by normal men. The absence of internal secretions from the sexual glands therefore leads inexorably to a shorter, diminished life. Consider a body stripped of these crucial animating organs. Organs which, when suppressed or depleted, inevitably result in poor blood quality, brittle bones, weakened muscles, increased fat accumulation, and imperfect nutrition. Such a body inevitably weakens, becoming more susceptible to illness and decay, and less capable of resisting the myriad factors that precipitate death long before reaching its natural span. It may be affirmed, then, with scientific certainty, that the deprivation of these internal secretions accelerates the advent of old age, not merely as a cosmetic change, but as deep cellular decay, and unequivocally shortens life itself. On the inverse, and far more empowering side of this physiological coin, the conscious and diligent maintenance of this sacred source of energy is the best and most potent guarantee of longevity. Men endowed with active interstitial glands and who preserve their function through discipline and restraint are observed to live to truly advanced ages. Consider the logic. If an old man, already deep into twilight, may be temporarily rejuvenated by implanting the testicles of a goat or monkey, then surely he would have never grown so profoundly old had he maintained his own biological prime through a continent and disciplined life. Senility, that creeping shadow of age, is not mere wear and tear of time, but the direct consequence of persistent indulgence. Weak genital glands, like any weakened organ, may be restored to vigor through conservation of their secretions and the purification of blood through natural, wholesome diet. The medieval alchemists, often misconstrued as mere mystical charlatans, were, in truth, proto-endocrinologists, pioneers of the body's subtle chemistries. The magnum opus, the great work, they sought was not the making of gold from lead, but the sublimation and refinement of sexual energy itself. This raw, potent life force, when consciously denied a lower outlet, was transmuted, elevated, redirected into higher brain power, facilitated by the ascent of the Kundalini force, rising from the pelvic floor to the crown of the brain. The conservation and transmutation of this vital force was, for them, the true elixir of everlasting youth, the profound, guarded secret of physical immortality. This pursuit was not merely biological, it was a journey inward, into the raw truths of male psychology. They recognized that the squandering of essence was not only physical depletion, but spiritual corrosion. It was the silent call of a dark truth, the acknowledgement that persistent indulgence feeds a primal fear of depletion, of inadequacy, of failing to master the very core of one's masculine power. This psychological undertow, this subtle dread of internal emptiness, becomes the shadow's whisper, a constant reminder of power squandered and a life force prematurely diminished. Dr. J.R. Brinkley, an eminent endocrinologist, whose work resonated deeply with these ancient alchemical insights, expressed the profound physiological reasons for sex hormone conservation in terms that directly echo the wisdom of the ages. He stated with conviction, "I have not swerved from my original conception that the source of all human energy is sex energy," which is another way of saying that the glandular system of man is a chained system of series of connecting loops, mutually assisting or depressing each other, of which series the genital gland seems to have the power of most directly stimulating and, in a measure, dominating the human body and mind by their particular kind of hormones. The hormones manufactured by the sex glands and distributed by the bloodstream for the nourishment of all the tissues of the body. This is not merely a biological statement. It is a profound psychological insight into the masculine psyche. It posits that the very engine of male drive, ambition, creativity, and mental acuity is intrinsically linked to this foundational energy. To squander it is not just a physical act, but a psychological disempowerment, a severing of the self from its most potent inner resource. An English physician, Dr. Nags, further elaborated on this same critical subject, bringing a spiritual and evolutionary dimension to the physiological facts. He wrote, "Strict continence enables the essence of these sexual secretions to be reabsorbed into the body. This not only makes for health, but also builds up those creative, intellectual, and intuitive faculties which show themselves in the work we do. Moreover, when we have learned to control this reproductive function, to turn inwards the mighty forces which it represents, we have solved one of the important problems of existence, which bring us nearer to that superhuman stage to which we must ultimately attain." Here, Dr. Nags touches upon the very core of Jungian thought that underpins dark truth therapy, the mastery of the self, the integration of the shadow, and the journey toward individuation. The mighty forces he speaks of are the raw, instinctual drives that, when disciplined and sublimated, cease to be sources of unconscious impulse, and instead become conscious tools for self-actualization. This inner work, this turning inwards, is the true path to healing and transcendence for men. It is the disciplined confrontation with the instinctual, the rechanneling of primal energies from outward dissipation to inward fortification. The disease of senility, that creeping inevitability many accept as fate, may in fact be permanently cured or significantly delayed. Through this profound understanding and practice, death, in this enlightened view, is not a sudden, unpredictable occurrence, but rather the culmination, the terminal point of a slow, insidious process of dying. This dying, or more precisely, cellular disintegration, may commence not in old age, but even at birth. It is a process tragically hastened by various modern societal norms, by consuming decaying, lifeless foods that offer little vital sustenance, and, most significantly, by the incessant habitual loss of seminal fluid. This fluid, far from being a mere waste product, when diligently retained within the body, undergoes a miraculous transformation, becoming the veritable elixir of eternal youth. It is the source code for sustained vitality, a concentrated life force that, rather than being expelled, is reabsorbed and integrated, fueling the body and mind with unparalleled potency. Undeveloped men and women, those lost in the superficial currents of modern existence, often harbor the simplistic, regrettable belief that sex is merely a plaything, something which serves no other purpose than to afford transient amusement or fleeting physical pleasure. They are trapped in a cycle of immediate gratification, unable to perceive the deeper truths. But developed men and women, those who have cultivated profound self-awareness and understanding, know instinctively and intellectually that this creative power, this sacred life force, has far more important and noble uses than merely to be wasted in thoughtless, indulgent dissipation. The sex glands are, in essence, the very engines of the human body, the primary generators of its organic energy. This raw, potent energy, if consciously and consistently conserved, undergoes a profound metamorphosis. It becomes the singular driving motive power behind all significant accomplishments in life. Fueling not just physical feats, but intellectual breakthroughs, artistic creations, and spiritual awakenings. The popular yet deeply flawed idea that most geniuses led immoral or licentious lives is a pervasive myth, one that a rigorous, honest study of their biographies proves to be false. The reverse is, in fact, rather the case, for true creative ability, whether artistic or intellectual, is a sublimated, refined expression of the very same vital energy, which the average individual dissipates through conventional sexual channels. Therefore, the supermen and the great geniuses of the past, those towering figures of human achievement, invariably led strictly continent lives. Their mastery over their own desires was a testament to their inner strength, a discipline that allowed them to redirect their primal energies. The few talented individuals who, despite their gifts, did not adhere to such a path of self-mastery may not, in the truest sense, be classed among the spiritually highest. Their work, though perhaps brilliant, often lacks a certain subtle, ineffable quality, that profound resonance and timeless depth, unmistakably present in the soaring architecture of a Beethoven symphony, or in the enigmatic beauty of a painting by Leonardo da Vinci. This elusive higher quality, this transcendent spark, results only from a conscious and deliberate sublimation of sex energy, transforming raw instinct into refined creation, a testament to the power of inner discipline over outward dissipation. This is the ultimate expression of masculine healing, not denying the dark, but transforming its raw energy into the light of creation. It is the ego death of the base impulse, allowing for the birth of higher consciousness and unparalleled achievement. Consider the pantheon of individuals who consciously chose this path of rigorous discipline, those who understood the profound power of conserved energy. Apollonius of Tyana, a figure of legendary wisdom and spiritual prowess, at the remarkably young age of 20, declared, "I am resolved never to marry, and to abstain from the company of all women whatsoever." This was not a renunciation born of fear or aversion, but a deliberate choice to channel his vital forces towards higher pursuits. The following celebrated individuals, across various epochs and disciplines, demonstrably led strictly chaste lives, their brilliance inextricably linked to their disciplined control over their primal energies. Among the greatest of prophets, we find John the Baptist and Jesus, whose spiritual authority and transformative power are undeniable. In the realm of mystics and martyrs, towering figures like Hypatia, Thomas Aquinas, St. Catherine of Siena, St. Teresa of Avila, Joan of Arc, and Savonarola all embraced lives of profound chastity, their spiritual insights and courageous acts fueled by an inner wellspring of conserved power. The greatest philosophers, Pythagoras, Plato, Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas, Francis Bacon, Spinoza, Leibniz, Lo Pascal, and Kant, meticulously constructed edifices of thought that have shaped human civilization. their intellectual prowess often a direct reflection of their disciplined personal lives. The unparalleled genius of scientists like Newton, the sublime artistry of composers like Handel and Beethoven, and the breathtaking mastery of painters such as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael, all emerged from individuals who, to varying degrees, embraced or were compelled towards a life of profound self-control regarding their sexual energies. Their creations were not mere acts of talent, but expressions of a sublimated, refined life force. Furthermore, a significant number of other great men, while perhaps not strictly chaste, throughout their entire lives, nevertheless lived continent lives during the most intensely creative and productive periods of their existence. This strategic conservation of energy allowed them to reach pinnacles of achievement. Figures like Zoroaster, Moses, Buddha, St. Paul, Plutarch, St. Augustine, Dante, St. Francis, Erasmus, Descartes, Diderot, Milton, and Schopenhauer. The very chastity of these supermen, these paragons of human potential, was driven not solely by abstract spiritual or ethical principles, although those certainly played a role, but also fundamentally by profound physiological reasons. Reasons which collectively constitute a complex body of physiological facts dealing with the origin and transformation of vital energy within the human system, and, crucially, with the intimate, undeniable relationship between the genital glands and the lymphatic, vascular, and nervous systems, a holistic interplay that underpins all higher functions. Imagine the human body not as a mere collection of organs, but as a finely tuned dynamo, an intricate energy converter. It directly draws electric power from the vast, unseen ocean of the ether through the dual processes of lung respiration and skin respiration. This subtle, pervasive etheric power is then absorbed and meticulously gathered at a crucial nexus, the solar plexus, often referred to as the central battery of the sympathetic nervous system. From this powerful accumulator, this electric energy, known across traditions as the life force, or prana, then flows purposefully to the sex glands. Here, in these vital centers, this etheric energy is combined with potent elements drawn from the blood, undergoing a remarkable transformation into seminal fluid in men and a corresponding vital secretion in women. This meticulously created secretion, far from being a simple reproductive fluid, serves as a crucial conduit conveying this potent vital energy to various ductless glands, recharging and activating them, powering key nerve centers, enhancing responsiveness, invigorating, and nourishing all the body's organs, from the muscular system to the intricate neural networks. In females, this vital sex secretion embarks on its journey from the ovaries, traversing gracefully through the oviducts to the uterus. In males, the corresponding secretion travels from the testicles, moving through the vas deferens to the seminal vesicles. Both the uterus in females and the seminal vesicles in males function as specialized receptacles holding this precious fluid. Critically, these receptacles are surrounded by a dense network of lymphatic vessels, which act as efficient absorbents, rapidly drawing the sexual fuel back into the systemic circulation. This lymphatically absorbed fluid gathers at a central hub, the receptaculum chyli, before embarking on its upward journey through the thoracic duct, entering the left subclavian vein, and from there flowing directly into the heart. This vitalized fluid, now integrated into the bloodstream, performs its most miraculous function. It vitalizes the blood itself, enabling it to transform inert food, mere physical sustenance, into living tissue, building and repairing the body's cells. This newly vitalized blood, carrying its precious cargo of transformed sex secretion, is then distributed throughout the body through the carotid artery, feeding every cell, every system. The transformed sex secretion then embarks on its most critical journey. It travels to the brain, through the enriched blood, where it directly nourishes and energizes its intricate cells. In the choroid plexus of the third cerebral ventricle and the pituitary body, this vital fluid undergoes yet another transformation, becoming cerebrospinal fluid and pituitrin. This newly formed, highly charged fluid flows continuously through the brain and spinal cavity, generating the nerve electricity that powers all thought, sensation, and movement. The consistent and unchecked loss of seminal fluid directly results in a severe reduction of this crucial cerebrospinal fluid, leading to a devitalized, fatigued nervous system, a condition known as neurasthenia. During sleep, a new and fresh supply of cerebrospinal fluid is meticulously produced, replenishing the system. The energy absorbed from the ether by the sympathetic nervous system, conveyed and refined through the sex secretion, serves to electrically recharge the central nervous system. After daily activities deplete the stored energy in the cerebrospinal fluid, a natural drowsiness or compelling desire for sleep occurs, signaling the body's need for replenishment. This recharging process typically takes 3 to 5 hours of restorative rest. However, excessive sleep, paradoxically, might dissipate the newly generated energy through uncontrolled cerebral activity in dreams, highlighting the delicate balance required for optimal functioning. This intimate connection between conserved sexual energy and the functioning of the brain and nervous system is a profound truth. It speaks to the psychological cost of dissipation, the way it weakens not only the body, but the very mental faculties that define our consciousness. To embrace continence, then, is to actively become the architect of one's own inner power, to confront the shadow of uncontrolled desire, and to forge a path toward higher awareness and sustained mental fortitude. Through the intricate alchemy of the sex secretion, elements absolutely essential for nourishing brain cells and nerves undergo a profound transformation. They are elevated from their raw, unrefined state, as initially obtained from assimilated food, to a vitalized, highly energetic condition, perfectly suitable for direct incorporation into nervous tissue. This process highlights the sex glands not merely as reproductive organs, but as sophisticated metabolic centers, specifically for phosphorus. They possess the unique ability to extract raw phosphorus from assimilated food, and then chemically transform it into their specialized secretion, making it readily available for absorption and utilization by the highly demanding brain cells. Consequently, any significant loss of this vital fluid, whether it be voluntary through deliberate indulgence or involuntary through nocturnal emissions, critically depletes the blood of this essential phosphorus, thereby depriving the brain of its necessary life-sustaining nourishment. Every single drop of seminal fluid lost, therefore, brings with it a tangible step closer to diseases, to debilitating nervous disorders, to a distressing mental decline, to the rapid onset of old age, and ultimately, to the inevitable embrace of death. This is the profound, unseen price of depletion. Unless the continuous, insidious loss of vital energy, which includes the discharge of vaginal and uterine secretions in females, especially pronounced at the beginning and end of menstruation, is consciously restrained and mastered, one exists in a state akin to a leaking vessel. Such an individual is continuously losing the very water of life, the animating essence that sustains all vitality, and consequently is in a perpetual, slow process of dying, a gradual erosion of being that manifests in myriad forms of physical and mental decay. From this enlightened perspective, a seminal emission represents far more than just the expulsion of fluid. It signifies the escape of developing brain tissue, a forfeiture of potential, a literal draining of the very substance that fuels higher consciousness and intellectual prowess. Past beliefs, rooted in a less refined understanding of human physiology, held that there were two entirely separate sex secretions: an internal one, supposedly produced by interstitial cells, and an external one, purportedly produced by the reproductive glands. This distinction, however, has been shown to be mistaken, a misunderstanding of a beautifully integrated biological system. The secretions of the genital glands, including those of the uterus, seminal vesicles, ovaries, and testicles, do not function in isolation. They form an inseparable, holistic unit. Crucially, all these elements are not only continually generated, but also continually absorbed through the sophisticated network of the lymphatic system, maintaining an internal equilibrium. Even sperm and eggs, often thought of solely in terms of intermittent production for reproductive needs, are in fact produced continuously. Their primary, often overlooked function is not solely for external reproduction. They are absorbed by the lymphatic system into the bloodstream, serving a vital internal endocrine function. Thus, any release of seminal fluid inevitably results in a loss of the internal secretion, which is, in essence, physiologically identical to the external secretion when conserved, absorbed, and utilized appropriately by the body. Essentially, there is only one fundamental sex secretion, with the so-called external one being a pathological escape, a deviation from the body's natural design for internal conservation and utilization. Dr. Brinkley, the eminent endocrinologist mentioned earlier, articulated this holistic view with profound clarity. It is briefly my view that both the external and internal secretions of the gonads are equally valuable to the building up of body tissues, and that the gonads themselves are not merely a link in the chain of the endocrines. The gonads, in the chain of the endocrines, hold the master position, and the well-being of all the endocrines is exactly dependent upon the well-being of the gonads. This is a critical insight, revealing the gonads not as mere components, but as the foundational architects of the entire endocrine system's harmony. This means that defective thyroid glands, for example, can be most effectively repaired not by directly addressing the thyroid in isolation, but by revitalizing the gonads, as the health of the master gland dictates the health of its subordinates. This principle extends to all glands in the endocrine chain, underscoring the central pivotal role of sexual health. The thyroid, pituitary, and pineal glands, often considered the most deeply linked to an individual's mental and spiritual life, are thus directly and profoundly influenced by the absorbed sex fluid carried through the bloodstream. This is a direct testament to the transformative power of conserved energy. There exists a close and undeniable interdependence between the genital and thyroid glands, as well as between the latter and the intricate workings of the brain. Insufficient thyroid secretion, for instance, leads to the development of cretinism, a severe physical and mental developmental disorder. Conversely, and perhaps even more revealingly, decreased sex secretion results in a eunuch, an individual profoundly underdeveloped, both physically and mentally. This stark parallel highlights the singular importance of the sex glands. During the transformative period of puberty, an increased amount of sex secretion in the blood naturally leads to heightened thyroid secretion, fostering rapid and integrated physical and mental development. Conversely, a reduction in sex secretion during senility causes the thyroids to shrink, precipitating a cascading effect of bodily and mental degeneration. This cyclical relationship is a mirror reflecting the deeper psychological truths, the unacknowledged trauma of depletion. The rejection of one's own masculine energy leads to a diminished self, a shadow of what could be. The body, in its wisdom, always reflects the inner state of conservation or dissipation. Dr. Voronoff, whose observations we've previously noted, offers a stark and powerful affirmation of this intricate glandular interplay. No organ can preserve its vital energy and function to full capacity if its cells are not stimulated and vivified by the genital gland's internal secretion. Eunuchs furnish a very clear demonstration of this. All their organs are like those of the rest of humanity, with one exception. Deprivation of this one organ depresses, weakens the functioning of all the others, and brings on premature old age. The removal of these organs reacts as much on the brain as on the heart, the muscles, the bones, and all the other organs. The moral and physical energies both diminish. This profound statement underscores that the impact of sexual energy conservation extends far beyond mere physical well-being. It is the very spark that ignites and sustains moral fortitude, intellectual clarity, and robust physical capability. Consider the tragic example of Abelard, the brilliant poet and philosopher, who, after his emasculation, never wrote another line of his once prolific work. His genius, once vibrant, was irrevocably extinguished, a testament to the direct link between vital essence and creative output. This is the dark truth of unchecked physical and emotional trauma, often hidden beneath layers of societal expectation and unspoken suffering in men. When a life is lived in purity and order, consciously embracing self-mastery, the precious sex secretions are not expelled, but are reabsorbed into the body. This internal recycling is a transformative process. The reabsorbed essence goes back into the general circulation, where it is ready to form the finest, most potent brain, nerve, and muscle tissue. This concentrated life essence of man, carried back and diffused throughout his entire system, transmutes him. It makes him not merely physically capable, but profoundly manly in spirit. robustly strong in body, fearless and brave in the face of adversity, and heroically resilient in his character. This is the true meaning of masculine healing, a reintegration of power rather than a constant outward expenditure. The suspension of the use of the generative organs, therefore, is attended by a notable and often dramatic increase of bodily and mental vigor, and a deepening of spiritual life. It is not a suppression of life, but a redirection towards a more expansive internal blossoming. Nature, in her infinite wisdom and efficiency, finds an entirely different, higher use for this unexpended sexual energy. Instead of allowing it to dissipate, she employs it for the magnificent purpose of building up a keen brain, one that is sharper, more perceptive, and more capable of complex thought. Simultaneously, this conserved energy is used to forge more vital and enduring nerves and muscles, enhancing both physical resilience and nervous system stability. Within the genital glands of both animals and men, powerful and subtle chemical elements are secreted. These vital compounds are designed to be absorbed into the blood and subsequently carried to all parts of the organism, not just for reproduction, but to actively energize, invigorate, and strengthen the cells, organs, and various parts of the body, including, crucially, the brain and the nervous system. This is why the constant call to push through or man up often ignores the deeper energetic depletion occurring beneath the surface. True strength comes from internal conservation. Some visionary thinkers have even ventured so far as to hazard the profound opinion that old age itself is chiefly, if not entirely, due to a gradual lessening of the supply of these critical internal secretions. This perspective reframes aging not as an inevitable decline, but as a consequence of systemic depletion. Nature, in her perfect design, has ordained that all the secretions of the sex glands, in both male and female, be forever retained within the body, just as are the secretions of the other ductless glands. This is the optimal, natural state. The sex glands, however, are unique among the endocrine glands, because their secretions may escape, either naturally or through conscious action. It is precisely here, in this potential for externalization, that we must look for the fundamental cause of glandular derangements, with their accompanying array of pathological symptoms and cascading health issues. The normal development and enduring well-being of the body, the clarity and sharpness of the mind, and the depth and richness of the soul are directly dependent upon this absorbed sex fluid. And that, in its profound simplicity, is why an absolutely chaste life, understood not as ascetic deprivation, but as intelligent conservation and sublimation, is the only truly healthy, natural, and creatively fertile one. This path demands confrontation with the shadow self, the love addiction to fleeting pleasure, the rejection of societal norms that encourage dissipation, and the profound journey of emotional discipline that leads to true masculine healing and self-awareness. It's the inner work that allows for unmasking the self and resolving the modern masculinity crisis, one disciplined act at a time. The journey we have embarked upon, guided by the scientific precision of Dr. Bernard and illuminated by the profound insights of ancient wisdom, reveals a truth that is both challenging and liberating. The key to an optimized existence, to a life of sustained vigor, intellectual acuity, and spiritual depth, lies within the conscious stewardship of our most primal energy. We've seen how the casual squandering of sexual essence is not merely a biological act, but a systemic depletion that accelerates aging, diminishes mental capacity, and dulls the very spark of life. This isn't about moral judgment. It's about physiological and psychological reality. It's about confronting the raw truths of male psychology that society so often encourages us to bury. From the alchemist's quest for the magnus opus, the sublimation of base energy into higher consciousness, to the endocrinologist's detailed mapping of glandular interdependence, the message is consistent. Our reproductive system is not just for procreation, but for the generation of a vital force that nourishes every cell, every thought, every aspiration. This vital fluid, when conserved, doesn't lie dormant. It is reabsorbed, transmuted, and strategically repurposed by the body to build finer brain tissue, stronger nerves, and more resilient muscles. It is the fuel for creativity, leadership, for the very essence of a formidable, self-actualized man. To waste it is to deny oneself the very building blocks of a higher self. The heroes and geniuses throughout history, from prophets to philosophers, from artists to scientists, understood this intuitively or through rigorous personal discipline. Their chastity, often viewed as an archaic virtue, was in fact a deliberate strategic act of energy management, a choice to channel primal urges into transcendent achievements. This is the ultimate form of emotional discipline, moving beyond the immediate gratification that so often traps men in cycles of unfulfillment and regret. They mastered the art of inner work, recognizing that true power is cultivated from within, not sought from external validation or fleeting pleasures. The modern man faces a unique crisis of masculinity, bombarded by messages that confuse gratification with fulfillment and external display with internal strength. He is unknowingly caught in the grip of love addiction or rejection trauma, endlessly seeking external validation and dissipating his core energy in pursuits that leave him hollow and unmoored. The constant leakage of vital energy, both physical and psychological, leaves him susceptible to anxiety, depression, and a pervasive sense of inadequacy, the shadow self subtly undermining his every effort. This is not weakness. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of his own energetic blueprint. But there is a path to reclaim this power, to heal the wounded man within. It begins by confronting what has been buried in the dark, by shining a light on the raw, uncomfortable truths of our male psychology. It's about understanding that the constant pursuit of external stimuli, the unexamined need for sexual release, often masks deeper insecurities and an unacknowledged fear of one's own potential. It's about recognizing the profound connection between our physical essence and our mental fortitude, our emotional stability, and our spiritual growth. This is the essence of dark truth therapy. We don't chase the light, we confront the shadows. We delve into the Jungian principles of the masculine psyche, guiding men to understand their ego, anima, and archetypes, and most importantly, to integrate the shadow self. We explore the dynamics of toxic love, rejection trauma, and the societal pressures that lead to ego death. This is not about denying your masculine energy, but about mastering it, refining it, and redirecting it to build a life of purpose, power, and genuine self-awareness. It's about taking radical responsibility for your own energy, mind, and destiny. If you are ready to stop leaking your life force, to truly understand the priceless value of your essence, and to embark on a transformative journey of masculine healing, then it's time to face the dark truths within. It's time to build a foundation of inner strength that no external force can shake.